Let's see if I can get it right this time.
Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello dear listener and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin and with me as always is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son Thomas.
Hi, hello.
What have you been up to?
Let me take you on a journey. In the show notes, or the description, there should be a link to an image. And let me take you on the journey of this image.
Oh, sorry. You don't want background music?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. First of all...
He won't know that I've added it in post.
Some context. In our household, when there is a birthday, the person who is having the birthday is allowed to select their birthday dinner and dessert. The first thing you need to know is that chocolate cake is a cop-out, and almost no one here actually selects chocolate cake for their dessert anymore. The second thing that you need to know is that I am a big fan of gimmicks.
No.
I will do the wackiest stuff for no reason. And in this case, I decided to emulate the stylings of an order ticket. The third thing you need to know is that those black bars on the image are covering up my address, because if you're going to emulate an order ticket, you might as well go all the way, right? Yes.
Right.
Yes. As part of emulating that order ticket, I had to find a font that looked like thermal printing, which it turns out is more difficult than you'd expect. In the end, I did end up finding a free for personal use font called Merchant Copy.
Oh, cool.
That
makes sense.
Which looks vaguely like scanned-in thermal printing font.
Yep.
And that was a whole mess trying to lay it out properly, but, you know. And that whole mess of laying it out properly led to the thing at the bottom of the image, which is supposed to be a smiley face. And it's not a smiley face because I ran into the print margin, which led me to the manual for the Canon TS6300 series.
Good.
Which provides 4 different print margins depending on what size of paper you're using. For 2 specific sizes of square paper, it provides very reasonable even margins on all sides. For sizes other than letter legal, or those 2 square sizes, it has different sides, a different bottom and a different top. The sides are the same, but they're different to the bottom and the top. For letter and legal, at the top, 0.12 of an inch. At the bottom, 0.2 of an inch. On the right, 0.25 of an inch. On the left, 0.26 of an inch.
Good.
Why? Dunno. Dunno.
But... The question I do ask, Thomas,
yes,
is that the paper in that printer is neither square, nor legal, nor letter sized. It's A4. It's metric.
Yeah.
Why were you dealing with this dilemma in the first place?
I was dealing with this dilemma in the first place because I hadn't actually looked up the print margins in advance.
So are there print margins for A4?
No, it's lumped in. It's lumped in with all the things that aren't a 3.5 inch square, a 5 inch square, letter or legal.
Yeah, okay. So you wouldn't have had this dilemma if you'd set Google Docs, was it?
No, Inkscape.
Inkscape. Right.
To be clear, this isn't an A4 sheet of paper that you're looking at in the image.
No, I
here.
realise that. But
This is a 3x5 inch index card.
oh, you printed it on an index card?
Yeah, the back of an index card.
Oh, well, see, there's your problem right there, isn't it?
No, it's not. Because it can handle cardstock.
But your order docket would be nowhere near as thick as in fact, it's thinner than typical A4. No, Thomas, look, if we're going to get to the nitty-gritty of this, you should have printed it on A4 paper.
If I wanted to get to the nitty-gritty of it, I would have purchased a thermal printer, but that would have been way too expensive. That would have eaten up my birthday gifts immediately.
The birthday gifts that he's assuming that he's going to get.
Well, if I don't get anything, then obviously it's a no deal anyway, isn't it? Why would I print it on A4 paper and waste all the space on it?
Oh, Thomas, we're going to have to wrap this bit up because the background music's running out. Sorry.
Anyway, my point in going through these margins is simply to point out that on letter and legal, the left and the right sides are different margins for no apparent reason.
Oh, I'm sure there is a long history behind it to do with typewriters.
And as far as paper in the printer goes, when I went to insert the index card, there was no paper in the printer.
Ah. And we all know who's responsible for that, don't we?
Whoever printed last.
That would be Mum. Who doesn't listen to this, so we can blame her.
Yep.
Guilty.
What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I donated blood yesterday. Sorry, I did not donate blood. I donated plasma. 879 mils of the stuff, I think it was. I think that's how much I give each week. Each fortnight. Oh, look, I lost my mind again. What else? When I was growing up.
Yeah.
Okay. It's my turn to have the background music playing.
Yes, I'll pick something. I won't.
When I was growing up, if I wanted to go and find myself a typical LED, okay, to make something electronic-wise with a flashing red light or what have you, I could have any number of places to. Okay, well that's a bit of an exaggeration, but at our nearest large shopping centre, there were two places that I could have gone into to buy an LED. Well, not anymore. I had to catch a bus into town, which I was going to do anyway.
Let me guess. J-car?
I did, indeed. So after I donated plasma, I hopped on another bus, and you're looking at between 20 and 30 minutes to get out to J-car, and found what I was after, and by the time that I made my way back, I didn't have time to fiddle around with it, so that makes this story somewhat boring, really. I could divulge what the intended purpose for this device is, but it would require another piece of background music. Okay, so if you hear this story, it means that I did pick another good piece of background music. So underneath our house, your typical Australian house does not have a basement.
No.
These days, even a underneath cavity is a rare thing. Most houses are built onto a concrete slab and there you go. But this particular house does have an underneath cavity with a little external access door. And the homeowner has dug out a little section to have a little workshop there. And of course, in doing so, whenever it rains very heavily, the water seeps in through the soil and then into that dug out section and fills up with water. I exaggerate here, fills up. The deepest I've seen it is 3 or 4 centimetres of water. And over 2 to 3 square metres maximum. Sorry, everyone except America is understanding these dimensions, of course. But,
yeah.
So I do apologise. You can get your calculators out and do the maths.
It's like a couple of inches.
Yeah, so when it rains, I know I need to go under the house and switch on a pump that I've set up to drain that water. And then I thought, it's usually still raining when I have to go do that. So me being the overthinker, I thought, how can I deal with this? Well, I can set up the pump so that it's on a smart socket so that I can use the home smart system to tell the pump to switch on. And then I thought, but I still need to go under the house to see whether there's actually water there, because it's not good for the pump if there's no water to actually pump. It can wear out. And so I thought, oh, look, I've got this really old Wi-Fi security camera. So I'll set that up downstairs. And did so, and knowing that it's got infrared lights and can see in the dark, basically. So I set that up and thought, right, good. Then it rained quite heavily.
Yeah.
And I looked at the camera and I couldn't tell whether there was water on the ground or not, because I guess the way that the infrared shines on the water, it made it really hard. So I thought, well, what do I do now? And then I found on eBay a Wi-Fi water sensor that I can stick at the level that it can alert me on my phone that the water has risen. The only problem with that little device, because that's set up fine, is that not only does it send a message to my phone app to say the water sensor has detected water, it also has a buzzer. And I wasn't overly concerned because the buzzer would be set up right under a bedroom that is really quite irrelevant to me. I wouldn't hear it from where I am. But unfortunately, there is someone in the room up above. And I ummed and ahed about whether that worried me or not. And you can see where this is going.
Turns out all of our habitable rooms are inhabited.
Yes. So somebody does indeed inhabit the room right above where the buzzer would be. And it's not particularly loud, but it would probably still wake said person up. As far as the people in the house are concerned, this person's the least of my worries about waking up or not. So
it's me, isn't it?
It is you, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm nice enough to realise this is probably not particularly ideal. So I thought, right, well, look, I've got the webcam set up. I can set up this sensor there, but I can desolder the buzzer out of it and stick an LED in there. So I got the LED and a couple of different rated resistors just to protect the LED, and that should do the trick. And I could see the light flashing, and I can move the webcam around to see whether the pump is switched on, because that's got a light on it as well. And so once this is all set up, using 3 Wi-Fi devices to save me from having to go outside, potentially in the rain, to go under the house, unlock and see whether there's... Because I don't use the underhouse. There's so much junk under there that it's not usable. So, yes, 3 Wi-Fi devices just to check whether there's water under the house and whether the pump's working. And so there we go. I'm going to need to walk in the Black Forest to cover that, I think. But it has to be a public domain version.
Yeah, you've got to be careful with walking the Black Forest.
It flags.
It does.
Yes.
It does flag. Not on anything I've actually uploaded publicly, but yeah.
I'll have to get you to send me some links of YouTube safe Mike, what's his name? Mike McLean? No?
Kevin McLeod.
Kevin McLeod. I'll get some Kevin McLeod happening.
Sure.
He needs to be credited though, doesn't he? Yeah. Or, dear listener, you can wind all of this back after realising there was no background music through all this dialogue, and you can imagine some yourself. You can hum along. Or not. We have a movie to watch.
We do.
Let's watch a movie. What are we watching this week?
Yes.
As if I didn't know.
Last week, in a fit of peak gremlin energy, I decided, simply off the back of watching probably the one funny clip that exists of this movie, that we would be watching the 1991 comedy action-adventure parody Hot Shots.
Indeed, we are watching Hot Shots. Now, just to reference back to last week's episode, I did make a reference to Leslie Nielsen and thinking that he might be in this. And I realised where my confusion lay. And in fact, you somewhat hinted at it when you said who was behind this.
Oh, yeah, it's a Zucker Abrams Zucker.
Yeah.
Well, just Abrams, but, you know, from those three.
So the movie Flying High, or as it was known in Australia, it was called Flying High. In America, I think it was called Airplane, exclamation mark. Well, Leslie Nielsen was in that, but he was bouncing off Lloyd Bridges, who is also in Hot Shots. That's where my adult brain was making connections.
Right.
Yes. Anyway, we're watching Hot Shots. Would you please, for our dear listener, throw us a spiel as to what Hot Shots is about?
From the description on Disney+. Recruited to join a top-secret mission for the Air Force, a renegade pilot finds himself coping with an incompetent admiral and a carefully selected squadron of flyers who are either inept or half-blind. He also winds up in competition with the Corps' model of military perfection for the heart of the base's sultry psychiatrist.
That's what we're in for.
Yep.
A whole bunch of small gags strung together with a paper-thin plot.
Yep, as I understand it, that is the Zucker Abrahams Zucker oeuvre.
Yeah, well, you know, hopefully some of them stick. And, you know, for anything that is just joke after joke after joke after joke, you cannot expect all of them to be at the same high level. Don't expect that. Don't at all. We're going to watch Hot Shots now, and then we'll come back and talk about it. So we shall catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B.
Mongrel. So, what did you think?
I sort of have to wind my mind back to when we watched Spaceballs.
You're right, yes.
It's a lot of gags, and most of them are even kind of funny.
Yep.
Like, I was laughing throughout.
You were.
But I don't think it quite comes together as a good film.
Well, I don't think anyone would argue that it is a good film. But I had altogether way too much fun with that. I'm stunned and a little embarrassed. In a lot of places, it certainly has not aged well.
No, it delves into racist stereotype a couple of times.
Very much so. And one of those directions that it takes, it leaned on quite heavily to a movie that came out around the same time that you have not seen, that is actually on my list of one day we should watch. But as far as his abandonment of society and finding himself a place far away from the things that he was leaving behind, there is a certain movie that it leans into very, very heavily that would not have meant a great deal to you. But being familiar with that film, it doesn't excuse certain things, but it explains, again, the riffs that it was taking on of movies of the time. And most of them you would have been familiar with, but this particular one you wouldn't have. Yes, but racist stereotypes all over the board, sexist. It is certainly not a cultured film, and if you were going into it expecting that...
Oh, no. No.
But that being said, I perhaps... And I think that's reflected in what I said at the beginning of the podcast and at the end of last week's podcast. I was absolutely dreading watching this film, so my expectations were very, very, very low. From vague recollections of... I have seen the film.
Right.
But don't have any great memories of it. And it's a blur of all these kinds of films that... I think most of them I watched due to the people I was watching them with.
Mm-hmm.
Very much a peer group thing. That sounds terribly snobbish, but I'm not automatically attracted to this kind of genre. But all that being said, I did enjoy that far too much. Way beyond my expectations.
The film's not bad. I just can't call it good.
No. And it certainly started off a lot stronger than it ended. It went thick and fast at the beginning, and I think it ran out of good solid laughs in the last probably half an hour. It became strained at the end. There was certainly still laughs to be had, but
half its best gags are in the montage under the opening credits.
Yeah.
And that's not a great position to be in.
No. Whether it was the directive to come out strong, and it did not maintain that momentum throughout. And in fact, there were places where it really dragged. And they were really straining for a laugh within those dead segments. So
there's an extended segment, maybe 2/3 of the way through the film, where it just decides to parody some other films.
Yeah. There were certainly places where it felt like, where are we going to fit those ideas that we round-tabled, that we stuck on the whiteboard and said, oh, we need to have that and we need to have that. Well, that's not going to fit into the narrative as such that's going through.
And we're not going to make it into a full film.
No, so we'll have a montage scene that inserts those great ideas into the film just to get those added laughs. I did not take any notes.
No.
It is not the kind of film that, because you blink and you miss, there's a whole heap of sight gags as well as audio gags. And
the trouble with the audio gags is some of the audio is not recorded well at all.
No. If I had taken any notes, it would have been a rehash of, oh, that's a clever gag and this is a clever gag. Which, I mean, yes, there were plenty of really clever, smart gags, but they're also really forced groan fest. They had to go there. In any other film, that bit would have been cut. And
There's a few parts where, like, a slightly longer gag I wouldn't quite get until the very end of it.
Yeah.
Like, I think the second marching chant, I didn't know what they were doing until the last line.
Yes, again, things that you wouldn't have been immediately familiar with, growing up with.
But I know the first line of the song that they were riffing on, which is weird because it came at the end of the scene.
Did you take notes?
I didn't.
No.
I didn't, no. I had little enough to think about that I could keep it in my head.
It is what it says on the box,
and
not in Disney's blurb.
Yeah.
In fact, I had the youngest son, he's 17, going on 18, who sat in on it and did read the Disney blurb before we started and said, hang on, that's Top Gun, isn't it?
Yeah, the laconic, I call it laconic, meaning short, because Disney Plus provides 2 blurbs. One on the big splash that's very short, so laconic, and a longer one if you dig into the details.
Yeah.
And the laconic one is just describing Top Gun.
Yeah. It was filmed very professionally. There were some effects shots that I would say even surpassed the original Top Gun film. That they certainly did not have the budget for proper fighter aircraft current day.
The wheelie scene?
Yes.
We cannot show a wheelie this long. we are just going to zoom in on Charlie Sheen.
It was also interesting that I don't think they even attempted to ask permission from the Navy for assistance in this, because the aircraft that they did not have US Navy on the side. It had the Navy.
Yes.
And a reference to a boat was the SS.
Yes.
Rather than the US. I think they were trying to avoid any major diplomatic incidents there.
Fudge what you can and use stock footage for the rest.
Yeah. They chose whatever stock footage they used well, in that there was no sudden change of grain and clarity. The actual production values were quite high. Some of the joke production values, not so much. Anyway, do you have anything else you wish to say about that?
No, that was a lot better than I was expecting.
Yep.
Not good, but not terrible.
No. I did note at the end of it, after the credits had finished, Disney flicked to show that there is indeed a sequel. Oh, yeah. My recollection is that was worse.
Oh, I expect so.
The barrel of laughs had already been well and truly emptied by the time that they got to that. They certainly aimed at different films that they were riffing off.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I could tell that from the description. But no, not surprised that a sequel to a parody film doesn't quite get there.
Yeah. Well, if you have nothing else to say, and I have nothing else to say, we shall move on.
The following segment has no title. Thank you.
And we start over on YouTube.
Right.
With Dunkel.
Hi, Dunkel.
Who opens with, "Can I be mean? That is how you tend to start these podcasts." With confusion and doubt as to what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's almost as if we were never gone for a year.
Yeah, but even at the end of that year, it was the start of that year, like after we'd...
We were just talking about production values, and our production values are pretty much the same. Although, I do need to stress again that last week's episode, I could not hear any springs vibrating again, so I'm quite chuffed by the fact that the sound deadening in the Deranged Cat studio has been somewhat improved.
Dunkel continues, "Hi, Colin."
Hi, Dunkel. Hang on. You get this feeling of deja vu.
Hi, Colin.
Hi, Dunkel. Hang on. You get this feeling of deja vu.
Hi, Colin.
Hi, Dunkel. Hang on. You get this feeling of deja vu.
Hi, Colin.
Hi, Dunkel. Hang on. You get this feeling of deja vu.
No. And concludes with a guess, which we will get back to with the other guesses.
All right, we'll gather the guesses together.
Helen.
Hi, Helen.
Between last week and this week has watched both new episodes, starting with Super Mario Bros.
Did you say watched both new episodes?
Probably.
Oh,
yeah.
She may have watched them on YouTube.
Well,
however, I know for a fact that she didn't.
I don't link the YouTube version on Facebook.
Helen does listen to it whilst walking, so I suspect
it could have YouTube Premium.
Podcast in its purest form.
Anyway, okay, so this first comment from Helen has caused some disagreement between us. Is the blood-sucking Amazon Women from Mars 3 episode on Spotify or only on Libsyn? Now, the mention of Libsyn leads me to believe that she knew that we'd not produced a blood-sucking Amazon Women from Mars 3 episode. But you seem to have it in your head that she was confused somehow?
Yes, I'm adamant.
I do not believe that Helen is confused by our mention of what is clearly, let's be clear here, not a real film.
Hey, I have my scratch and sniff card right here. Smell this.
And a joke that's been floating around the family for years.
That's right. It's not a joke. It's a classic.
She continues, it's as if they were never gone. Welcome back.
Thanks, Helen.
On last week's episode, meanwhile, I had a vague plan to watch the movie before listening to the episode, but sometimes I can't do all the things.
Do all the things.
Skipping over a guess. I nearly missed episode 101 because when I saw the post in my Facebook feed, I wasn't really paying close attention.
No, you weren't.
And kind of thought it was some repost or memory messing with my head. Facebook will do that, won't it?
It will.
Usually it's clear that it is a memory, but
Yes.
it can do that. I won't mind if you don't post every week. I suspect there will be some weeks where I'll struggle to find time to listen.
Right, okay.
Just for you. Oh, and is the Discord server a dedicated server, or does it involve a whole bunch of other things that I won't want to be distracted by? So, let's talk about marketing strategy here.
Hang on, we should call Jeeves in, who's in charge of our marketing strategy.
Yes. Well, you see, I post the episodes first to the Hi Hello Productions Twitter account at twitter.com/HiHelloProd, because Twitter only allows you to have 16 characters, and I'm not... It's a mess. It's always a mess. It's more of a mess now than it was a year ago.
It's quite disturbing how much Jeeves sounds like Thomas.
And, yes, so I also post it to Thomas's Twitter account, usually with some sort of bespoke marketing thing. It turns out that on Twitter it helps if you don't post the link in the first tweet and instead relegate it to a second tweet in a thread.
Is that right?
Yeah, and so I put the cover art in the first tweet, and the link's in the second tweet, yes.
Right.
I also post the episodes on Facebook. I didn't agree with us having a Facebook group, but I sort of fell into posting the episodes there. So,
well, the truth is, I actually used to do that.
Oh yes,
but
yes.
But since returning,
well, it's actually been some time since you, even before we left. It's been some time.
Oh, really?
I think so.
No, I was posting it every week. Yeah. I mean, usually it would be a case of I'd get a notification that Thomas had posted it elsewhere and thought, oh, that's right, I need to post it on Facebook.
No, you post it to your Facebook. You used to post it to your Facebook.
Okay.
And
fair enough.
In largely the same form. Because I always go in and I make sure that the description is all set up right, and now that Anchor has become Spotify for podcasters, that has become more of a rigmarole because...
It crunches everything.
It involves 4 screens of things that you have to enter in, and you have to go through all 4 screens in order to save. If you don't go through all 4 screens and you just click the X, it'll save it as a draft. And then it's a draft and no longer scheduled to go out.
Right. Okay.
It's very, very messy. Excellent user experience. Thank you, Spotify for podcasters. Where was I? Marketing. The other place that I post the episodes
Libsyn?
is... No, not... I'm pretty sure it just ends up on Libsyn. The other place that I post the podcasts is on 2 separate Discord servers, one of which is the Loading Ready Run Discord, which is otherwise completely unrelated to the podcast, and the other is a private extended online friend server. And I'll leave it at that.
Dum, dum, dum. Yes, so not a huge public Discord, dedicated Discord.
No, not dedicated. The Loading Ready Run Discord is
huge.
quite large.
Oh, yeah. No, I meant as far as exclusively.
Nothing dedicated. It is below having a channel on a Discord server level. It just ends up in the podcast channel every week. Yes, thank you, Jeeves.
Thanks, Jeeves.
Very helpful.
And can you get onto the MySpace? Because it's been very quiet there lately.
You know for a fact that we don't have a MySpace page, and we don't need a MySpace page, and it wouldn't help us at all.
Oh dear. All right. So hopefully that answers Colin's question.
And so we come to guesses, because the last comment here is just a guess.
It is.
So, going back to Dunkel.
Hi, Dunkel, again.
Our first guess is Mearth.
Mearth.
Spelt Mearth.
That is 6 letters.
Yes.
But not all of them are right.
No.
No. Good guess, though.
Our next guess is from E of Pie.
Hi, E of Pie.
Who guesses Munfrem. Mnfrme.
Which is also not correct.
And our final guess from Helen.
Hi, Helen, again.
Minerf.
Minerf.
Spelt Mnerth.
Right. Which is, drumroll, correct.
So, congratulations. 1 arbitrary untracked point for Helen.
That's right. So, for those of you who are completely befuddled by what just happened then, do I have to explain it again?
Every week you enter in a file name to the recording device.
A 6 alphanumeric file name.
Yep. And people guess it.
Has something to do with the movie that we're watching. So we watched Hot Shots today.
Mm-hmm.
So the 6 letters will be used to make up a file name that possibly suggests to me the movie Hot Shots. Take that as you want.
I already have a fairly good guess.
Look, as far as even in our post-blip period, this has probably been the easiest one, I suspect, for our dear listener to guess. So have at it. You can...
Yes, that's what I expected.
Thomas has just had a look, and Jeeves, did you want to have a look?
Oh, no, I'm quite all right over here, thank you. Good. Thank you.
All right. Right, so enter in your suggestions in the places that are listed on the show notes.
And some places that aren't.
Like our MySpace. I think we shall move on.
Yes.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
It's your turn.
What?
Yes.
My turn?
Unbelievably.
Okay.
In a format in which we alternate selecting the films.
Actually, I knew full well, and I did ponder a possibility for this week. So I'm not even going to shake the phone, because I think this is what we're going to follow up this week's episode with. Next week, we are going to watch, and Thomas is going to endeavour to guess the film from the plot synopsis description that I'm going to bring up once my fingers actually end up on the points of the screen that I want them to end up on.
I am currently trying to open MySpace, and it is refusing to connect.
I don't want you.
It's not a browser problem or a DNS problem. This is definitely a MySpace problem.
Yeah. Okay. Here we
Still
go.
exists, just won't let me connect.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Combining the thrills of a rousing adventure with the suspense of Universal's original 1932 horror classic, The Something, starring Brendan Fraser, is a true non-stop...
Is this The Mummy?
It is The Mummy. Now, I've started, so I'll continue. The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser, is a true non-stop action epic filled with dazzling visual effects and top-notch talent. It tells the story of a group of people searching for a long-lost treasure deep in the Egyptian desert, who managed to unearth a 3,000-year-old legacy of terror. Have you seen it?
I've not, no.
That's what I thought, which is why I thought I'd throw this at you. Next week, we are watching, I was going to say the original The Mummy, but it is not the original Mummy. It is the...
Apparently it's the second.
It's the first of the Brendan Fraser franchise of The Mummy. From 1999, possibly the year somebody who sleeps in the bedroom above the non-buzzing buzzer. That's what we're watching next week. We hope that you can join us, but until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
The Blank and Brendan Fraser
Yeah,
got me there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be hard.
When it was just The Blank, could have been anything,
That's
really.
right. Could have been The Fly,
Or The Invisible Man,
The Amazing Shrinking Man.
The Mummy.
No, that would be silly.
Oh, well, forget I said anything
I
then.
will. Bring back Jeeves. I'd much prefer Jeeves.
Oh, well, I'm not good at this podcasting thing. You two are fine. Just keep going.
MySpace, Jeeves.
It won't connect. Recruited to join a top-secret mission for the Air Force, a renegade pilot finds himself coping with an incompetent
That's about where you tripped up last time.
I'm just going to start again.
So I'm quite chuffed by the fact that the sound deadening the sound deadening in the Deranged Cat studio has been somewhat improved.